A man killed by an attack in downtown Austin. The suspect is on trial, but history shows that it's unlikely he'll go to jail. The jury could soon get the case in the trial of Preston Sharpnack.
He is accused in a deadly attack last September on 6th Street. Prosecutors say Sharpnack punched Matthew Casey, who died when he fell and hit his head on the concrete. Surveillance cameras showed the moments before the attack, but not the attack itself. Investigators say it started when Sharpnack asked Casey for spare change, and the two men got into an argument.
Now, this is not the first time that a fight downtown led to a deadly attack, but when we took a closer look, we found that the people behind those attacks rarely go to jail. KXAN's Omar Lewis is live outside the courtroom with an in-depth look at the attacks downtown. Omar?
Good evening. They're just wrapping up with closing arguments inside the courtroom right now, and this case is expected to go to the jury for deliberation here this evening. But we wanted to know why cases involving deadly attacks downtown rarely end up with much jail time. So we spoke to an expert who tells us they're a lot harder to prove in court. In 2011, Harold Hickey was originally charged with the murder of a man downtown. That charge was reduced to criminal negligent homicide. Hickey wound up with just a 5-year probation sentence. In 2009, Eric Skeeter pled guilty and was convicted of felony manslaughter after a downtown club brawl. Skeeter, who was already on parole, received a 10-year probation sentence. James Baker was originally charged with manslaughter back in 2007. That charge was reduced to aggravated assault, and he was sentenced to 10 years probation and 180 days in jail. In that same year, Curtis Colvin was charged with manslaughter after beating a man to death in a parking lot. That charge was reduced to aggravated assault. A jury found him guilty and he was sentenced to 10 years probation. Austin defense attorney Mindy Momford says the common denominator in these cases involving fights downtown is the intent to kill. She says in this case, prosecutors will have to prove that when Preston Sharpnack punched Matthew Casey, his intent was for Casey to die.
The defense, on the other hand, is going to say that's true and he has admitted to the conduct, but does that necessarily warrant throwing somebody in prison for that conduct when it might have been more of a reckless act rather than an intentional act?
As for Preston Sharpnack, those manslaughter charges have already been taken off the table, and he is now facing aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charges, which means that criminal intent to kill has not have to be proven here. Robert, Leslie?
Omar, with that aggravated assault charge, how much jail time could he face?
Well, the maximum sentence with an aggravated assault charge is anywhere between 2 and 20 years in jail, but he could very well wind up with just probation as well.
Omar, thanks so much for that. So far this year, there's been just one murder in downtown Austin.
And the latest police reports show that crime is dropping downtown. Looking in depth now, Austin police report 50 robberies through June. That's down nearly 30% from last year. Aggravated assaults are down more than 40% for the year, but it's not all good news. The number of rapes rose more than 70% from last year in the downtown area.